Hello, all you crypto fans, and we have some news for you today on the crypto front. There are new European DeFi regulations, which could definitely put a dent on DeFi, as it would ban pretty much all non-decentralized aspects of DeFi. Now, you might be thinking, isn't DeFi supposed to be decentralized anyways? Isn't this a good thing? Not really, because it would ban all like front ends that aren't downloaded. So there are those websites we do DeFi on. Can't do it anymore. It's got to be downloaded apps or downloaded clients. And that could actually shut off DeFi for quite a few people. And this is based on some MiCA regulations. So the European Commission is evaluating the DeFi industry and could require protocols to obtain a MiCA license in the near future. Also, like for any kind of like centralized activity within DeFi, it could ban that too or require them to get a license, which would put them out of business. So according to Markets in Crypto Assets, MiCA, the regulatory framework that governs digital assets within the region, the European Commission is required to prepare a report by December 30th, 2024, evaluating the decentralized finance market and feasibility of specific regulations in the sector. Now, obviously, this is kind of like new territory because there aren't that many regulations in this kind of crypto. I mean, there aren't even regulations for overall crypto, much less DeFi. In preparation for this report, we have initiated a number of actions. For instance, we are running a study on embedded supervision. No policy decisions have been taken yet. So even if this does happen, it's going to take a couple of years, but people are definitely bracing for it. Remember, it's basically not due until New Year's Day in 2025, and that's just an evaluation. To get all the legislation through, it's probably not going to come until 2026, if not 2027, when these things go into action. So we have a couple of years. And they're exploring how decentralized systems, particularly those without a clear issuer or service provider, could be regulated. And it's much harder to regulate like a decentralized entity than a centralized entity, because a centralized entity, you know who to monitor and you know who to go after, whereas in a decentralized entity, they don't know who to go after. But they could target the websites themselves that are hosting the DeFi functionality, which would actually be very troublesome as many people use these websites to actually trade on the DeFi scale. So a significant aspect of the assessment will be to explore the regulation of crypto asset lending and borrowing, a core activity in the DeFi space. So they're targeting lending and borrowing, but I think like eventually yield farming is going to be part of that. DeFi represents a shift from traditional centralized financial systems to peer-to-peer finance enabled by decentralized technologies built on blockchain. So essentially, traditional finance laws, they target centralized entities, and that's how they control finance. But in this case, there's no centralized entity, there's no one to really go after, so what do? So they're really looking at a framework for a new regulation, and they're going to target DEXs and hope to get them under licensing requirements. But it's primarily targeting DEX interfaces. For instance, like Radium Orca, they have an online interface. They could get like hosting companies, or they could either get hosting companies or like providers to not allow those interfaces on their service, which would kind of tank the entire service. And they would have to rely on app downloads and other stuff. A lot of people do use them via apps, but I prefer to use them on a front end, as do many other people. So that could really cut down on the DeFi traffic. I don't think it'll actually prevent people from using DeFi overall, but it could be a substantial blow. This would make DeFi front ends on normal internet connections as we know them today impossible. While only fully decentralized local downloaded front ends or full KYC online front ends would be possible. So there's not going to be like a mix, like, there's not going to be like a front end like, let's say, like Kyber Network. I wouldn't be able to log on via like Safari or something. I would have to download the app on my phone. And of course, you're forcing one extreme or the other, or like full KYC online front ends. Where I don't think people would go for those, because I don't even know if it's possible for those DEXs to do full KYC, or fully decentralized downloadable clients. So they're really just trying to force people's hand to go the KYC route. In the same vein, XReg consulting partner Nathan Catania believes that an eventual DeFi regulation would apply to all non-fully decentralized applications, including DeFi front ends. So like even protocols which are not decentralized enough could be seen to be performing CASP services such as exchanging crypto assets for other crypto assets. For front ends, there are also services such as reception and transmission of orders on behalf of third parties. So it could come down to how strict regulators want to be when enforcing this. So I really hope this doesn't come down, but it does kind of look like they are headed that way. So it just makes it more inconvenient for us. We'd have to download all the apps, or they would have to force developers to be completely fully decentralized, and it would limit our ways to actually access DeFi. Now, some purists might really like this, but I think it's a huge convenience factor blow to the rest of us, which I'm not a huge fan of. So that's the problem with these European restrictions, but they're probably not going to come in for a couple of years. So there's no panic yet, but we have to get ready for it in 2 or 3 years. So Coinbase has actually expanded to Canada. That's right. They've gotten a restricted dealer license in Canada, and now they're like the biggest dealer in Canada. Just kind of like a really big splash. Now, Canada's economy obviously is nowhere near as big as the United States, but it's a nearby market, and it will increase Coinbase's viability. I think Coinbase stock, once again, just got more attractive, even though it was pretty attractive even without this. So Coinbase now has 2 entities in Canada: Coinbase Canada with an international dealer license, and Coinbase registered as a restricted dealer. So a lot of you in Canada looking for a crypto exchange or a big crypto exchange can eventually go to Coinbase, hopefully launching later this year. The US-based crypto exchange Coinbase has secured restricted dealer licenses in Canada, doubling down on global expansion amid regulatory crackdown at home. Coinbase has obtained a new license in Canada, being registered in Ontario as a restricted dealer under the Canadian Securities Administrators Act, the firm officially announced on April 3rd. The new authorization officially established Coinbase as a legally operating cryptocurrency firm in Canada. The registration is the culmination of months of hard work starting in March 2023, when we signed an enhanced pre-registration undertaking that signified our dedication to regulatory compliance and operational excellence. Now, will Canada be easy to work with than the United States? Maybe, maybe not. I mean, their regulations really aren't that much better, but it is a broad new market for Coinbase. So, like I said, this does actually make Coinbase just a little bit more attractive to investors on their stock. So yeah, good for Coinbase and good for Coinbase investors. Ripple has launched a stablecoin, and some of the XRP investors are excited. So probably do in the long run as much as the Cardano stablecoin for boosting up the coin price. But it's always good to have your own stablecoin. It does provide more liquidity. I don't think XRP really had any problems with liquidity, but I don't really remember. I don't think USDC or USDT was on the XRP ledger. So definitely a good thing for Ripple. For XRP, with the AMMs, this definitely might help. Although I think the AMMs, just got re-voted on. So basically, blockchain firm Ripple says it's launching a US dollar stablecoin, marking an entry into the 150 billion stablecoin market. I doubt it will really challenge USDC or USDT, but it's always good to have your own stablecoin. It does boost up your liquidity, and it does give your ecosystem users something to trade into. So they're first launching the stablecoin in the US, but didn't rule out offering additional regional stablecoins in non-US markets like Europe and Africa. So they might expand there later. So they're the latest player to jump into the 150 billion stablecoin market with the launch of digital currency pegged to US dollar. Now, I wonder if they're actually going to use this currency for cross-border transfers instead of XRP. And it's going to be backed by US dollars. I do think it would get past the regulators much, much easier than a cryptocurrency if they are using a USD-backed currency. The firm said its reserves would be accounted for in publicly available monthly attestation reports, so it's going to be fully audited. It did not say which firm was going to audit, but that's fine. As long as it's audited, we have the reports. I think they'll be fine with regulations. They've actually been pretty good in complying with regulations. And yes, it would pit Ripple against giants like Tether and USDC. Now, the US might try to move out Tether altogether in favor of stablecoins that are actually within the United States. Obviously, it's also going to be competing against things like PayPal USD, which is already being used on PayPal and is backed by Paxos. Ripple's not deterred by the competition. He said that the market will look different in the future, certainly based on size. Garlinghouse said the company decided to introduce a stablecoin to the market last year in response to depegging of rival firms' USDT token in Circle's USDC. There wasn't too much depegging. I don't think it ever went below like 98.8 cents, and it quickly recovered. And I think all stablecoins are going to have that kind of problem once there's like a supply squeeze or a demand squeeze. But it wasn't really anything major. Both USDT and USDC have actually been audited. So I think they're still going to be the major coins within the crypto market. And the Ripple stablecoin is just going to be another one in the ocean of stablecoins. Garlinghouse says there's some uncertainty about the current market leader among U.S. regulators without disclosing a name. I think that's probably USDC. USDT has always been viewed with suspicion among U.S. regulators. He argued that Ripple is a regulated institution with licenses in New York, Ireland, Singapore, among other countries. So yeah, they're trying to make a splash. I don't think they'll make too much of a splash in the stablecoin market, but it's good for Ripple and good for its ecosystem. I think there might be a bit of worry that Ripple is going to use this stablecoin for cross-border transfers rather than XRP, because I think it would get past regulators a lot easier. So that's the news for today. Let me know what you think. Like and subscribe. Hit that bell notifications button. Thank you and have a nice day.